जय गुरुजी अंकल, जय गुरुजी सारी संगत को। एंड जय गुरुजी आरती। आई होप आप सरप्राइज हुए जैसा कि इंटेंशन था हमारा।
Big time.
um, अंकल, तो मैं शुरू कर लूँ? एम आई ऑडिबल?
Please start. Yes,
जी।
please start.
जी। सबसे पहले तो जय गुरुजी सारी संगत को। शुक्राना गुरुजी का कि ये सेवा बख्शी, अंकल का जो इस सेवा देने का मीडियम बने। और बस थोड़ा बहुत गुरुजी के बारे में यही है कि इस जन्म में मिली तो उनको 2005 से हूँ। और उससे पहले का कितना कनेक्शन है वो तो वही जानते हैं। जैसा कि सब जानते हैं, महाशिव हैं, जानी जान है, सब कुछ जानते हैं, हमसे बेटर हमारे लिए सोचते हैं, जो बल्कि हम सोच भी नहीं पाते। वो सोचकर उसका सोल्यूशन तैयार रख के सब चीजें ऐसे ऑर्केस्ट्रेट कर देते हैं कि हमारी लाइफ जितना हो सके स्मूथ चले। हमेशा कहते थे कि 90% तो वो अपने पे ले ही लेते हैं हमारे कर्म, 10% जो है वो हमसे भुगतवाते हैं। और हमारे बस की ये भी नहीं है कि 10% हम वो भुगत सकें, उसमें भी मैं तो उनको ये कहती हूँ कि मेरा हाथ पकड़िए, मुझसे तो ये भी नहीं होगा। अम, उसके ऊपर बस यही कहूंगी कि उनको कभी तब भगवान का दर्जा नहीं दिया जो मिली थी, लेकिन उसके बाद समझ आया वो क्या थे। शुरू वो गुरु से हुए, मेरे फादर बन गए, भगवान बन गए, और अब तो बेस्ट फ्रेंड भी बन गए हैं। इस यही आई एम श्योर इसी के इन्हीं सब कैपेसिटीज को डिफरेंट तरीके से आरती ने भी अपने बुक में बताया है। और आरती के बारे में सिर्फ इतना कहना चाहूंगी कि जानती उसको 12 साल से हूँ, और ये गुरुजी हैं जो हम सबको कनेक्ट करते हैं, संगत में मिलाते हैं। और दो चीज उसके बारे में बोलना चाहूंगी। जानती 12 साल से हूँ, लेकिन ये दो चीजें कंसिस्टेंटली स्टैंड आउट करती हैं, हर बार ये प्रूव होती जाती है, इनका पैटर्न ही बनता जाता है। मैंने ये देखा है कि उस उसको जानते सब हैं। शी इज एट द फोरफ्रंट ऑफ थिंग्स। वो फेस है काफी चीजों का, काफी एक्टिविटीज का। ये हर कोई जानता है। जो लोग नहीं जानते वो ये है कि अप्स एंड डाउन्स हाँ हर एक की लाइफ में होते हैं, लेकिन आई हैव बिन प्रिवी टू टू सम इवेंट्स जो उसके लाइफ में हुए हैं, जो बिल्कुल इजी नहीं थे। किसी के लिए भी नहीं होते। और उनमें तो आप सोचते हैं कि आप सुबह उठें भी कैसे बेड से, एंड यू डोंट हैव दैट काइंड ऑफ एनर्जी। लेकिन डिस्पाइट ऑल ऑफ इट, नो मैटर व्हाट लाइफ हैज थ्रोन एट हर, एक चीज कंसिस्टेंट है कि वो उसके साथ जो हो रहा होता है उसको अलग रख के वो सबकी मदद करती है। जो उसको रीच आउट कर ले, किसी भी टाइम में रीच आउट कर ले। ना सिर्फ वो गुरुजी से जोड़ती है, लेकिन वो जितना हो सके अपने तरफ से भी हेल्प करती है, और दूसरों को भी इंगेज करती है कि कैसे उस इंसान को हेल्प की जा सके जो नीड में है। ये मैंने उसके टफेस्ट टाइम्स में भी देखा है। इजीएस्ट में तो चलो करने में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, पर टफेस्ट टाइम्स में जब ये कोई करता है, दैट दैट शोज योर कैरेक्टर, आपकी इवॉल्वमेंट। हम इतना कुछ कहते हैं जी, पाठ करें, सब कुछ करें, गुरुजी हमेशा कहते थे बंदा बनो। मेरे बंदा बनने की डेफिनेशन यही है दैट वी मेक द वर्ल्ड अ हैप्पियर प्लेस। जितना हो सके फ्रिक्शन कम रखें, जितना हो सके लोगों की मदद कर सकें। सो शी पर्सोनिफाइज दैट फॉर मी। एंड दूसरी चीज, जो वो सबके लिए करती होगी, मेरे लिए तो एक कनेक्शन यही है कि पता नहीं कैसे मुझे शायद 90% ऑफ द सेवा उसी के थ्रू मिलती है, या उसके थ्रू या उसकी वजह से। और आज भी देखिए कैसे आप लोग ने सोच लिया मुझे बुलाने के लिए। एंड तो मैं उसको ये तो बोलना ही चाहूँ, चोजन वन हम सब हैं, गुरुजी हम सबको स्पेशल फील कराते हैं और करते वो हैं। लेकिन मैं हमेशा सेवादार कहते हैं नहीं नहीं हमें नहीं थैंक कीजिए, गुरुजी ने कराया है। अरे गुरुजी ने बिल्कुल कराया है, लेकिन गुरुजी ने आपको एक मीडियम चूज किया है, और वो भी अपने में बहुत बड़ी बात है, क्योंकि वो हर एक को तो मीडियम नहीं बना सकते। तो मैं इसीलिए बोलना चाहूंगी कि आरती उनकी संगत तो है ही, पर एक वो मीडियम है, वो साधन है जिसके थ्रू उनकी ब्लेसिंग्स लोगों तक पहुंचती हैं और लोगों की सेवा भी हो पाती है। तो आई एम श्योर बहुत सारे इंस्टेंसेस, बहुत सारे सत्संग और उसकी अपनी खुद की स्पिरिचुअल जर्नी वो अब एक और सेशन से कवर करेगी अपने बुक से. नाउ ओवर टू आरती and all the very best and lots of love. Jai Guruji.
Namaste to Guruji. Jai Guruji to everybody. Shukrana once again to Multilingual platform. Suresh Uncle, your surprises. My God. Every week, Sarika, I could have never imagined. So thank you so much. I'm humbled, I'm touched, I am moved. I don't even know what to say. Like when you were speaking, it was like, ab tapka ansu ke ab tapka, because it was so touching. And I think you're very gracious. I don't deserve half of what you've said. In fact, more than half of what you've said, but I truly feel honored and I truly feel special. And I want to say thankful and grateful at the same time, because back to back कल भी पढ़ने का मौका मिल गया और आज भी गुरुजी ने सेवा ये बख्श दी. तो like we all know कि गुरुजी के रंग गुरुजी जाने, गुरुजी की टाइमिंग गुरुजी जाने, गुरुजी ही सब कुछ मुकर्रर करते हैं. एंड हम तो बस, I think शुक्राना is a very very small word, but there is nothing else that we can really offer to our guru. So वो शुक्राना करते हुए मैं शुरू करती हूँ आज की रीडिंग. So yesterday I read 2 chapters as well, and I had finished chapter 10. So what I do want to share with the Sangat here is that the first 10 chapters I had written in, I want to say between 2019 and 2020. And I consider that as part 1 of my life. And then a lot of things happened between 2020, 2021, which were life-changing for me. And finally, I want to say in 2022, I mustered the courage again to pick up the pen and start to document some of those satsangs, in hopes that it's going to give, I want to say, strength, positivity to, anyone who's listening to this, anyone who's reading this. And this is, something I say all the time, कि गुरुजी को हमारी मार्केटिंग की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, ना हम कर सकते हैं. हमारा सिर्फ उतना इंटेंट होता है कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों को हम गुरुजी के बारे में बता सके, उनको जोड़ सके, ताकि जो जन्नत हमें मिली है संगत जी, वो हर एक को नसीब हो. So a little bit of recap on what we read yesterday. Like I had mentioned in my chapter, that there is no end to his satsangs. और कल का जो theme था, that the takeaway from the chapters that we read yesterday was भरोसा and भाव. क्योंकि मेरा ये मानना है, and बहुत strongly मेरा ये मानना है, कि अगर आप जप करते रहो, आप मंत्र कर रहे हो, आप हवन कर रहे हो, आप कर्म कांड कर रहे हो, आप मन के फेर रहे हो, लेकिन अगर आपके मन में वो भाव नहीं है, वो भरोसा नहीं है, तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि वो आपको लगेगा बिल्कुल. So whatever we do, I think more than what we are doing, it's very important to self-qualify the why behind that. दुनिया ये देखती है आप क्या कर रहे हो, गुरु ये देखता है आप क्यों कर रहे हो. So उस क्यों पे फोकस करना संगत जी बहुत जरूरी है. So again, गुरुजी से आज्ञा लेते हुए मैं शुरू करती हूँ आज की रीडिंग. So I'll be reading chapters 11 and 12. Chapter 11 is Life After Pandemic. Satsangs go on. We are because he is. Absolutely, the essence of our existence lies in Guruji's presence. Some of us realize this profound truth, while others are yet to discover it. Guruji is the ultimate creator of the universe, and each individual has the freedom to worship him in various forms and ways, or choose not to, as per their beliefs and preferences. So, in this world, amongst billions of people, if your guru has handpicked your soul to be part of his sangat, that in itself is a huge blessing, संगत जी. हम miracles ढूंढते हैं, हम ये देखने की कोशिश करते हैं कि मेरे साथ ऐसा बड़ा क्या हुआ, मेरे साथ ऐसी कौन सी घटना हुई जो मैं बोल सकूं कि ये इम्पॉसिबल को पॉसिबल कर दिया. मैं कहती हूँ कि इतने लोग रुल रहे हैं जिनको गुरु जी के बारे में कोई इल्म ही नहीं है. डू यू थिंक इट्स अप टू देम? नो, it's up to your guru to choose you, to handpick you. And the very fact that he's handpicked us is such a big blessing. And like Sarika said, कि किसको कैसे connect करना है, कब तक करना है, किस जरिए से करना है, that's all in his hands. And I am so grateful for everyone who's touched my life and crossed my life, because I feel like everything happens for a reason. और उस रीजन की क्या लर्निंग है या कितनी लर्निंग हमने लेनी है इज अप टू अस. बिकॉज हर सिचुएशन जिंदगी में आपको कुछ सिखा रही है. हम सीखने वाले बने तो सही. The pandemic has brought significant changes to the world. Many of us have experienced the painful loss of loved ones, leading to a shift in our work patterns and perspectives. Amidst all these changes, Guruji's presence, grace, and existence has remained constant in my life. Throughout the challenges of COVID, I went through life-altering events, and yet my faith in Guruji has only grown stronger with time. Faith can be delicate, susceptible to shattering with even the slightest disturbance. We as humans have a tendency to complain, but even amidst adversity, Guruji's divine presence has been my anchor. Now, this is again a very big miracle to me personally. जब आपके ऊपर संगत जी trying times आए और आपका विश्वास खत्म होने की जगह बढ़ जाए, तो मेरे हिसाब से वो आपके गुरु की बख्शीश है आप पर, वो आपके गुरु की रहमत है आप पर कि आपका विश्वास उस टाइम में बढ़ा. अदरवाइज लोग नाराज हो जाते हैं. लोग जरा ऊपर नीचे हो, हम क्या करते हैं, हम भगवान को उलाम्बे देने शुरू कर देते हैं. हम ये भूल जाते हैं कि हमारा खुद का कर्म है जो हमारे आगे आ रहा है. लेकिन वो गुरमत, वो भी बख्शने वाले हमारे गुरु साहब के अलावा और कोई नहीं है. The year 2020 brought about significant transformations for me. I made the difficult decision to move out of my long-time marital home and went through a divorce. Additionally, my father was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and eventually he passed away. I still remember the day I first found out about my dad's condition. It was May 15th, 2020. The onset of the weekend, and I got the reports from, there's a Sangat by the name of Neelam Duggal, auntie in Gurgaon, and immediately sent it to our doctor friends. Yahan par hai wo Sangat ke, Tina and Puneet. They confirmed that it did not look good, and I was the first one to know about it even before my parents knowing it. These life-altering events came together in a challenging package. 3 years ago in 2020, leaving my marital home was one of the toughest decisions I have ever made. So I still remember, there's certain things that stay etched, that leave a mark. And that date, 15th May 2020, when I found out about, stage 4 cancer, for my dad, मैं उनको पापा बोलती थी कि पापा को स्टेज 4 कैंसर है, और ऐसा कैंसर कि जिसके हमने साइंस और सिम्टम्स देखे ही नहीं. और जब समथिंग हिट्स यू आउट ऑफ द ब्लू, इट्स वेरी हार्ड टू process that. It's very hard to accept that, and I was in denial that ye kaise ho gaya, maybe the reports are wrong, maybe something's going to change. And all this is happening, and then on the personal front, I am dealing with my own challenges that I did not even want my parents to be privy to, because I felt like kya buzurg mata pita ko kya burden karna hai. So all this came together, and like we say, when it rains it pours. But who sees you through this is none other than Guru Sahib himself. And leaving a long-term relationship is a very difficult, it's a very difficult decision to make. And I, again, we're all Guruji Sangat, and I'm going to be very open and vulnerable. I'm still struggling to move on and leave that. And I think there is even a little bit of guilt, because I feel like I was the initiator. And I was hopelessly looking for guidance and signs and Guruji's direction to tell me that, this is okay, this is the right thing. And before taking every step, trust me, Sangaji, I would look towards Guruji and say, Ki Guruji, acha, ye tabhi karwana if it's good for me, if it's meant to be. If it's not meant to be, so this should not work out. And it was an emotional roller coaster. But through these satsangs, I have mustered the courage to open up and bring out my raw emotions, not to hurt somebody, but just to, I think in the simplest way possible, to offer my immense gratitude to Guruji, because I feel like had I not had his protection, I would have perished a long time ago. I firmly believe that. There was no reason for things to work out the way it did. It seemed like, it took years of planning, and I have no logical way to explain कि कैसे, क्या, कब हुआ, how everything fell into place, and how or why I am where I am today. If I can owe this to one force, that is his kirpa. Home is where the heart is, and no one sets out to build a home with the intention of breaking it apart. Life unfolds, and sometimes two people may grow apart, leading to gaps and wedges that develop over time. This was no different in my case. Marriages are indeed special, but their longevity depends on respectful communication and understanding between partners. The key to sustaining a successful marriage lies in healthy, open, respectful communication, mutual understanding between two people. It is all about how the two people make each other feel, and both have an equal level of accountability. Joint prayers are thus sincere requests and focusing on growing in the same direction while deepening the spiritual connection helps. Material possessions cannot fill the emotional void that may exist within an individual. In one of my rare and precious dreams or telepathic communication with Guruji, I had a brief conversation with him. In the dream, I expressed my desire for immense understanding, friendship, and healthy communication with my husband, despite having a life that many others may dream of, with a home, fancy cars, and a live-in nanny. Guruji responded by saying, "Kisi nu bhi mukammal jahan nahi milda." No one can have it all. And he continued to explain that even if we find that perfect relationship, some health issues may arise. So Sangaji, I'm going to elaborate on this a little bit. In 2018, I want to say, I was laying down in bed, and in one of my conversations with Guruji, I went to sleep talking to him that, and I was, without delving into too many details, I was just talking to Guruji that, why doesn't he get it? Why am I feeling this way? All I want is, friendship and understanding, and I want to be understood, and I don't want to be dismissed, and I want to be seen. And ये ख्याल मैं मन में करते करते सो गई, और उस रात गुरुजी सवेरे के टाइम मेरे सपने में आए, एंड उन्होंने ये लाइन बोली कि किसी नु भी मुकम्मल जहां नहीं मिलता, और जिस दिन तेरे को लगेगा कि तेरे को ये परफेक्ट रिलेशनशिप मिल गया, तो तेरे को कुछ ना कोई और चैलेंज फेस करना पड़ेगा in terms of maybe a health issue. So that was like a quick dream come darshan come statement from Guruji, and that was it. The message in that dream was profound. No one truly has it all, even if it appears so on the outside. इनफैक्ट संगत जी, अगर आप जो भगवान ने जो अवतार लिया है धरती पे, चाहे आप कृष्ण जी को देख लो, चाहे आप राम भगवान को देख लो, या जो भी आप ऐतिहासिक घटनाओं के बारे में पढ़ लो, अगर वो अवतार भी इस धरती पे आकर इतना स्ट्रगल करके गए हैं, तो मेरी और आपकी तो औकात ही क्या है। हम हमारी इतनी एक्सपेक्टेशंस होती हैं कि we are seeking perfection, but there's no such thing as perfection. Therefore, we must be cautious and thoughtful in what we ask for. Guruji's wisdom taught me to be mindful of my desires and to think carefully before seeking anything. We often tend to be complainers, but Guruji exhibits immense patience within us. While we may get angry, Guruji, being nirvair matlab jiska koi dushman na ho, stands as an embodiment of divine traits. As I found myself drifting away from my husband, I grew close to a colleague at work, and that person's name is Victor. Feeling heard and understood effortlessly in his presence was comforting to me. So while I was struggling at home and I had this desire to be seen and to be understood, I met somebody at work, and the connection with that person just felt seamless, and it felt effortless, and there was something comforting about that presence. Victor appeared to be a simple and approachable man, making our friendships feel natural and just meant to be. I was grateful to have him as a friend and even invited him to my home to meet my family. One day at work, Victor noticed Guruji's picture on my desk and asked if Guruji was my father. I explained to him that Guruji is not just my father, but also the father of the entire universe. This was his first introduction to Guru Maharaj. Excitedly, I shared that we have a temple in New Jersey and regularly hold satsangs at home. Being a non-Indian, Victor had many questions about the concept of a satsang. I described it as a gathering where we all listen to Gurbani together and meditate collectively, yet silently. Both sound and silence have a unique impact on our beings, and they are different ways to connect with the divinity within us. So nothing happens by chance, right? Nothing is ever a coincidence in Guruji's world. So I still remember that, Victor asked me about एक गुरुजी का स्वरूप. मेरे ऑफिस में मेरे बच्चों का, मेरी फैमिली, मेरे माँ बाप, स्पाउस, किसी का नहीं था. सिर्फ गुरुजी की एक फोटो मेरे डेस्क पे थी. तो उसने क्यूरियोसिटी में पूछा कि ये आपके पिताजी की फोटो है. तो मैंने उनको जवाब दिया दैट ये सिर्फ मेरे ही पिताजी नहीं, ये पूरे ब्रह्मांड, पूरे यूनिवर्स के फादर हैं. और फिर मैंने उनको सत्संग्स के बारे में बताया. एंड आई वांटेड, बिकॉज I found a good person and a good friend in him. I invited him कि आप प्लीज घर पे आओ, सत्संग अटेंड करो, मेरे परिवार से मिलो, सबसे मिलो. एंड ऐसे हमारी जर्नी शुरू हुई. I encouraged Victor to come to Guruji's satsang with an open mind and heart, experiencing it for himself without any preconceptions. So because he was a non-Indian, he had a lot of questions around the concept of satsang. How do you meditate? Not understanding the language. So I just encouraged him that, come with an open mind and see how you feel about it. I didn't want to feed him too much information because, satsang, and when it comes to experiencing divinity, I think it has to be felt from within. It's not something that can be coached. It's not something that can be injected from one human into the other. You have to feel, and that feeling can only happen if he so wills. And in this case, he is Guruji. I didn't want to influence him in any way, but believed that if he approaches it with openness, he might feel Guruji's presence in his own way. Guruji handpicks his sangat and determines the timing and purpose for their inclusion. Perhaps in Victor's personal struggles, Guruji extended an invitation to him. Despite the language barrier and the practical American mindset, Victor's connection with Guruji was almost instant. He had his own interactions and experiences that he processed and understood in his unique way in his own time. Soon enough, he became a regular participant in Guruji's satsangs. His deep connection with my guru made him even more closer to my heart as a confidant. As life events unfolded and I decided to move out, he stood by me unwaveringly. Whether it was right or wrong, I couldn't tell, but it was happening. And there he was, as steadfast as he could be in his support. Change is inevitable, and it can bring about anxiety and uncertainty for anyone, including myself. As the saying goes, when it rains, it pours. And during such times, we rely on the ever-present presence of Guruji to guide us through. Facing multiple challenges in my life, both in relationships and on the job front, I found myself at crossroads pondering the question, kya karu? What should I do, Guruji? और ये सवाल हमेशा मैं पूछती थी, जैसे मैंने आपको थोड़ी देर पहले बताया. I prayed in my own way, hoping for an answer or any indication from Guruji. He has a way of responding not on our time, but on his own and in his own way. My only wish was to interpret his signs correctly. As the saying, Jo mange Thakur apne se, soi soi deve suggests, we ask and Guruji gives, but do we truly know how to ask? What to ask for? Speaking for myself, perhaps not. With relationships, facing challenges and seeing my father lose to a terminal disease alongside the desire to move away from my travel job and seek more stability, it felt like too much to handle all at once. Going purely by my feelings, I felt like I needed to hit a reset on all fronts. Today in hindsight, मैं पीछे जब देखती हूँ तो मुझे कभी-कभी वो एहसास लगता है कि and I till date I ask myself कि क्या मैंने कुछ गलती तो नहीं करी, क्या मैंने जल्दबाजी तो नहीं करी, और अगर करी तो मैं गुरुजी से माफी मांगती हूँ और I think आखिरी दम तक माफी मांगती रहूंगी. बट जो उस टाइम मेरे को साइंस समझ आए, जैसे समझ आए, उसके अकॉर्डिंग मैंने एक्ट किया. And like I said, that there were more chances of me failing than succeeding. So if I did succeed, I look at it as my Guruji's blessing to go on that path. And here I have two beautiful pictures of Guruji. He's smiling in this one, and then he has apni khubsurat haathon ki mudra in this one. And with this, I am going to read chapter 12, which is, he's always around to help his devotees. As I was preparing myself to make the most difficult decision of losing a long-term relationship, it required immense courage and strength. During this phase, I became a hopeless seeker, desperately looking for signs from Guruji. This was unlike my usual self, but the situation left me feeling completely shattered. Now, I personally, Sangaji, I never look for validation. I don't look for signs. I don't try to get fragrance. I am not looking for an Om to appear on the roti to believe that Guruji is here. I know he's there. No questions, unflinchingly, without a doubt, Guruji is unsung. But I do want to admit that, and this is again, me almost 3.5 years ago, when I was actually going through that roller coaster within me and my emotions were all over the place, I started to look for messages and I started to look for signs because I wanted Guruji to come talk to me. Then unexpectedly, I received a WhatsApp message from an unknown number, and it contained a voice note from a woman introducing herself. She mentioned her name and explained that she knew of me, even though I didn't know her, and she had gone through several search sources to find my number. She shared that she had a dream, and in that dream, Guruji conveyed a message to her, instructing her to pass it on to me. She took some time to reach out to me, but she finally turned to Guruji again, saying, "It's your assignment given to me by you, to convey this to Aarti Auntie. So, Guruji, you will help me find her as well." And eventually, in May of 2020, she was able to obtain my contact information through another Sangat devotee. There's a young girl here in Guruji Sangat. Her name is Shriya Ratan. And through her, she got my number. And I have never spoken to that auntie before or after. And if I recall correctly, she had introduced herself by the name of, I want to say, Jyoti. And like I said, that I get this random voice note on WhatsApp. Reading the message she conveyed about her dream brought tears to my eyes. It was truly incredible. As believers in a direct connection with Guruji, we can often discern whether something is authentic or made up. In this case, it felt like a genuine message from the divine for me. The lady who shared this dream with me didn't know me and had no ulterior motive and had never contacted me before or after. Yet, Guruji's message came to me through her dream darshan precisely when I was deeply concerned about how my decision to move out would be perceived. Like I said, कि मैंने गुरुजी की जान खा के रखी थी कि गुरुजी कुछ तो अंदेशा दो, कुछ तो बताओ कि क्या करूं, क्या ना करूं. I need to hear from you. And while we all believe in direct connections, it's also easy to decipher that, what is something that's made up and what is genuine, what's not genuine. Because if someone reaches out to you and doesn't know anything about your situation and says something very precise, it forces you to think that, oh my God, is this message coming from the divine? I had been worried about my actions, about how my actions would affect my self-respect, character, and the image that was built over decades as a Sangat member. I feared that it might become a subject of mockery. And again, this is me being very open, very vulnerable, that these are all the thoughts that did cross my mind and still cross my mind till date. In her message, she said she saw a dream where I was a lecturer sitting in a classroom setting. That lady who got the dream was a student in my dream. In that scene, I picked up my phone and read something with a typical I don't care type of a smile on my face. So in her dream, the way she described अपने voice message में कि आंटी आप टीचर हो और मैं आपकी क्लास में स्टूडेंट हूँ और आपके फोन में कुछ मैसेज आता है और आप उसको पढ़ते हो and you have this expression on your face like you're smiling that what is this? I then tell that lady, ये सपने का ही मैं आपको बता रही हूँ, the things that people say and fabricate. और हिंदी में मेरे को अभी तक याद है जो उसने वर्ड्स यूज किए थे वो ये थे कि आप फोन को देखकर बोलते हो कि लोग भी ना कैसी कैसी बातें करते हैं और कैसी बातें बनाते हैं और कैसी बातें बोलते हैं. और ये बोल के I just smile and I put my phone down. Then Guruji comes and says to that lady, उन्हों कह दे जो लोग की कह रहे हैं या सोचते पे हैं उसकी परवाह ना कर. Meaning that tell her that she should not worry about what people say, nor should she get consumed by their opinions and their perceptions. Then in her voice note, she said, Guruji loves you a lot, and I don't know why he made me say this line to you. I still remember those words. She said, आंटी मुझे नहीं पता कि आपकी जिंदगी में क्या चल रहा है, पर गुरुजी ने आपके लिए मैसेज दिया है कि आप जो भी कर रहे हो उससे करे चलो. And not to worry about anything. Like she had no idea about this change, this huge step that I was about to take. And hearing these words out of the blue just gave me more strength. Receiving this message at the right time out of the blue reassured me that Guruji's will, his way, and his timing were at play. It was a profound reminder not to be consumed by the opinions and perceptions of others, but rather to have faith in Guruji's guidance and love. I give this advice to everybody, including myself, including my young daughters, that so long as you know that you are true in your intention. You know your intent is in the right place. You are not malicious in the way you're approaching things. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody, because no matter what you say, no matter what you do, will never be good enough for people who want to believe otherwise. Taking Guruji's message as a signal to move forward, I decided to proceed with the difficult and painful process of separation, despite the fear, darkness, and the shame it brought. It was far from easy, but I held on to my trust in Guruji and watched his magic unfold, knowing that his love was guiding me. Amidst the separation process, the market conditions during COVID-19 pandemic became unpredictable. House showings were not happening in person, making it challenging to find a suitable home. I came across a listing online that caught my attention, and I liked what I saw in the pictures. However, a few days later, the listing was unexpectedly removed. The inventory of available houses was limited during COVID, and it seemed like the one option I had liked was gone. It was crucial for me not to move too far from our current location to avoid disrupting the children's school district, and I also wanted to keep them close to their father. Therefore, I focused on finding a home within the same district. Despite the uncertainty and anxiety surrounding the housing market during COVID-19, I came across the same home listed again, this time at a lower price. Many people were speculating that the housing market would crash during COVID, making it a challenging time to buy. However, seeing the house relisted at a lower price, we decided to make an offer. So once I made up my mind to move out, and it left me very, very shaky and very, very broken for obvious reasons. I had a lot of, I want to say a lot of weight on me, because I had to think about my kids. I had to think about, the reputation, the character, and also how this act of, breaking a beautiful family would be perceived. And not to say that I had anything against the father of my kids. He is and shall always remain the father of my kids. But keeping that aside, I had a lot of other restrictions as well. One, I did not want to, disrupt their school district. I did not want to cause too much of a disruption. COVID-19 was at its peak. Koi inventory thi nahi. The housing market was very, very unpredictable. People did not know कि crash honi shuru hoegi to kitni crash hoegi. और कुछ था ही नहीं मार्केट पे. एक घर ऑनलाइन देखा था जो थोड़ा ठीक ठाक लगा. Within a few weeks, that listing was taken down, and I was like, look, जो एक चीज पसंद आई थी, which was worth considering, वो भी listing remove हो गई, and now I have pretty much nothing left. And I did not want to move into a rental place, because I was like, बड़े घर से निकल के रेंट पे एक अपार्टमेंट लूंगी. आई डोंट नो बच्चों पे उसका क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा, और फिर 3-4-6 महीने बाद आई हैव टू मूव अगेन. So why don't I look for something that I can buy and situate myself there? And I wanted to be close to their dad as well, so that he has access to his children. So while I was thinking through this, a couple of weeks later, again I see the same home relisted, but at a lower price, even lower price point. So I was very amazed that. Pehle it was listed for X and now it's X minus whatever. So, we decided to make the offer. The financial aspect of acquiring the new home was also a miracle in itself. Since I still had the previous big home under my name, obtaining another loan was uncertain. So, अब ये हो गया कि, घर तो पसंद आ गया, but जिस घर में मैं रह रही थी, वो भी मेरे नाम पे था. And यहाँ पर they look at your income to debt ratio. So I was like, there is no way they're going to approve another big mortgage under my name, because I have the existing home under my name. इसमें भी However, Victor came forward to co-sign the loan, and I kept praying to Guruji that if it wasn't meant to be, let it fall through. But miraculously, the deal went through seamlessly. While we awaited the possession date, I started to plan how to furnish the new home. One of my dreams was to create a dedicated prayer room for Guruji and a bedroom for Guru Maharaj. During COVID, delivery times had also become significantly longer, taking months instead of weeks. However, when I found a beautiful red bedroom set for Guruji, we decided to order it, knowing it might take a few months to arrive. To my amazement, Guruji's bedroom set arrived even before the closing date and before we moved in. It was the first piece of furniture to be delivered at the new address. And I interpreted it as another sign of Guruji establishing himself at home even before the rest of the family moved in. So like I said, when it was relisted और हमने ऑफर डाली, तो जब ऑफर भी डाली तो मैं गुरुजी से यही प्रे करती, यूजुअली between the offer and closing there is a gap. मैं गुरुजी से यही प्रे कर रही थी कि closing should fall apart if it's not meant to be. And I had to take help from Victor to co-sign क्योंकि मेरे पास उस टाइम enough finances नहीं थे और कोई और मदद नहीं करना चाह रहा था. तो मतलब whatever happened, it just kept falling into place, and the closing went through. उसके बाद मेरे को था कि इस घर में जब हम मूव करेंगे तो गुरुजी का एक नीचे दरबार होना चाहिए और एक कमरा should be dedicated to गुरुजी. तो कमरे के लिए मैंने एक लाल रंग का बेडरूम सेट देखा, एंड पेंडेमिक के टाइम संगत जी जो डिलीवरी टाइम थी ना, दैट वाज कि अगर नॉर्मली आपको फर्नीचर डिलीवर होने में 3 हफ्ते लगते हैं, तो उस टाइम 6 महीने, क्योंकि कोई इन्वेंटोरी थी नहीं. तो हमें लगा कि चलो ऑर्डर कर दिया है, जब आएगा तो आएगा. लेकिन क्लोजिंग से पहले जब इस घर से वो प्रीवियस ओनर निकली नहीं थी, क्लोजिंग होने से 1 या 2 दिन पहले वो फर्नीचर गुरुजी का बेडरूम सेट हमारे मूव होने से पहले घर पहुंच गया. तो मुझे लगा कि चलो दिस इज गुरुजी's वे ऑफ सेइंग दैट तुम्हारे आने से पहले मैंने इस घर में अपनी जगह बना ली है. The move out date is etched in my heart forever. It was a sad day for every member of the family in ways more than one. I do not want to think about that day when I actually picked up myself and I moved from the house that I made home. The movers came, took our stuff. I left the children behind with their dad so I could get a day or two to settle in the new place. Even though Victor was there to help, I felt like I had left my soul behind in that home I had moved out of, and I truly felt like fish out of water. We had a job to do, which was to turn this house into a home now. That, along with my job, kept me distracted and kept my mind occupied. How everything was flowing and coming together was incredible. It felt like Guruji's hand was guiding me all along, or I could not have done anything. Another thing that was deeply weighing me down was the condition of my dad and my inability to travel to see him due to COVID and everything else that was fluid. It was a difficult time for me emotionally and mentally, but I held on to Guruji's presence and grace to navigate through it all. Dad's health was deteriorating, and during this time, we would talk every single day, multiple times a day, using FaceTime calls as the closest thing to an in-person contact. I was yearning to be with my family, and fortunately, in Q3 of 2020, I was able to go and spend time with them. When Guruji enabled me to travel to India, I took back home the Jutti Prasad that I had received from him almost 2 decades ago. Deep within, I felt that my dad needed it more than me. That week spent together felt like a precious family reunion with just my sister, my parents, and me. During that visit, my father and I had the opportunity to do a virtual satsang together as a father-daughter duo. it was a beautiful and cherished moment. So like I said, that there was a lot of things that were happening. I was tasked with settling into this new place. It says that it's a house when you buy, and it takes work to convert that into a home. And luckily I had my job, so I was distracted with that. The only thing that was really killing me was the travel restriction and the fact that travel had become very, very difficult. So the only thing that kept me going was, several times a day I would FaceTime my parents, and I still remember I would keep asking them, "आप इस घर में कब आओगे? आप कब आओगे? आप कब आओगे?" मैं घर का कोना कोना सजा रही हूँ ताकि आप इस घर को देख सको और आप इस घर में आके रहो। पर कोई उम्मीद थी नहीं, और मुझे ये लग रहा था the clock is ticking, cancer is spreading and ravaging, और घड़ी टिक 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 करके टाइम बढ़े जा रहा है और मैं कुछ कर ही नहीं पा रही। फाइनली गुरुजी की कृपा से Q3 of 2020 में मेरे को इंडिया जाने का मौका मिला, एंड आई लेफ्ट द किड्स विद विक्रम, और मैं अपने पेरेंट्स के पास इंडिया चले गई। और वो टाइम, आई थिंक ऑलमोस्ट आफ्टर 2 decades, we got that time where my sister was there, I was there, and my parents, and it felt like just good old days. There were no kids, there were no spouses, there was nobody. And for the first time ever, मैंने अपने फादर के साथ कोविड के टाइम पे एक वर्चुअल सत्संग भी किया था, और मैं गुरुजी की जुत्ती प्रसाद पहली बार घर से वापस गुड़गांव लेकर गई, क्योंकि मुझे लगा कि मेरे से ज्यादा जरूरत अब उस जुत्ती की मेरे पापा को है। So those were some very relished and cherished moments that by Guruji's grace we got to spend together as a family, jo काफी I want to say decades से वो मौका नहीं मिला, because first my sister got married, and then I got married, and then she was in Pune and I was in the States, and we never really, as just a unit of 4, got to spend that time. It was really, really beautiful. Upon returning to the US, I left the Juttis with my mom and dad so that my father could face his battle with this terminal disease with strength, grace, and dignity. The Juttis from Guruji became the biggest symbol of hope and reassurance during those challenging times. So with this, I conclude my reading for today. The next couple chapters are pretty, I think, emotionally, I want to say disturbing for me, because there's just so much change that happened. Demise of a relationship, losing my dad, and all like back to back to back. And until date, I remember of the dream that I saw in 2018 where Guruji said, "Kisi ko mukammal jahan nahi milta." और जब तेको लगता है कि that ideal relationship that you're looking to manifest, if you get that, it's also going to come at a premium. And Guruji ki baat, pathar ki lakeer. I think the beauty, the silver lining in this is the fact that I know Guruji's got my back. And I am, because he is. So utterly grateful. I always say this, not just on behalf of myself, but on behalf of everyone. Guruji baksh do, Guruji sarbat ka bhala, Guruji rakhi charna de kol. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivji Sada Sahai. Om Namah Shivaya, Guruji Sada Sahai. Shukrana for this opportunity as always. And following Saturday, I think it's going to be the same time, 12:30 Eastern time. I will read the next 2 chapters. I think we're just left with 2 more sessions. So after that, we'll be able to wrap this up. Thank you. Jai Guruji.
Jai Guruji.